Live. There we go.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Frankie here for the Bakersfield Gentlemen. And we are live with my brother Miguel here at Clubbers Lounge in Bakersfield, California. And today we have a guest on. We'll be joined by another guest shortly, hopefully. That was actually requested by one of our viewers. He was with us at Texas Frightmare and would not stop talking about this cigar that he had. It was the best thing ever, and he couldn't remember the name. Couldn't remember the name, and he finally showed us the cigar band, and we're like, "Oh yeah, we know those guys."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You got to get him on the show. You got to get him on the show. The cigar's fantastic." Richard, this is absolutely an episode for you. So hopefully he'll join sooner rather than later, because he should have seen the post that I made saying that these guys are going to be on today. Eduardo, how you doing? And besides that, Mike, I believe we are both smoking their cigar today, and it is the West Side Story. Yes.
Yeah, with giving stuff away right now, yes, we are both smoking the West Side Story, an absolutely phenomenal cigar to begin with. Not unlike the rest of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you go in this, I think you're going to be very happy to smoke, guys. And I hope if you have not tried one yet, that after this conversation we have with the owners, you're going to want to try them. I have almost a guarantee that you are going to want to try them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And really quick, before we continue with the show, a quick thanks to our sponsor, Cigar Heritage Festival, Artisa Cigars. Thank you guys so much. Amber is here as well, so I want to thank her for being here.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's get to our guest.
All righty, here we go. And sir, good to
Hey,
see you.
as I'm pouring some bourbon.
Oh, good call. A very good call.
I know, right? It's 5:00 over here.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm just iced coffee over on this coast, but I will catch up as soon as the time permits. I promise. I will catch up.
As you should.
So welcome to the show. This is your first
Thank
time
you.
on our show, so we're very
Yeah.
happy to have you. But I mean, we met, I think, last year at, what was it, PC or TPE?
Yeah, I think. When did we meet? I think we met the year before last at the
Yeah,
PCA,
Yeah.
actually, because we skipped last year,
Okay.
and then we saw you again at the TPE
Right.
recently. Yeah,
And
so it was about 2 years ago,
Yeah.
actually.
and like I mentioned before the show started, you guys were highly requested by this gentleman right here,
That's
Richard
awesome.
Middleton. He had your cigar over the weekend. We were in Dallas a few weeks ago for a convention
that's
that we go
great.
to, and we bring cigars. Well, he brought a few of his own, and one of them happened, or a few of them happened to be yours. And he fell in love. He's like, "You got to get these guys on. You got to get these guys on." And
That's
so,
great.
Richard, we're making your dreams come true.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Good looking out. Thank you for the support.
And it was, in fact, the cannoli that he was having.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have the cannoli line, which is 3 cigars, right?
Yeah. The original one was the red band, the San Andre Corona box press. And we decided to add two more cigars to that line because we discontinued our Robustos at the time. We weren't really selling that size for some reason. It just wasn't hitting right. We dropped them. We're like, hey, let's just drop Robustos and make cannolis. So we added the white cannoli, which is Ecuador, Connecticut, and then the Sumatra, which is the green. And of course, put them all together to make the Italian flag.
There you go. I like that. And yes, of course, Richard is a man of good taste right there. Amendola, some of the best sticks I've had. I wanted to bite into them so good. Hey, I
you
like
can. Hey, do what you got to do.
That's your cigar. You do what you want with it, right?
Exactly.
So where did well, obviously you guys are of Italian background, so New York, the cannoli, that all ties in and makes sense. But where did you come up with the idea of naming it the cannoli?
I wish Chris was here to actually tell that story, but that name came up. Chris and I were hanging out in his man cave. We started doing work, and then it turned into drinking whiskey and bourbon and smoking a lot of cigars. And but sometimes that's when a lot of these great ideas,
the best
happen.
ideas, yeah.
And at the time we had the original red cannoli. It was made at our previous factory, and we just called it the San Andre Corona, our box press Corona. There wasn't any specific name to it. We just called it by what the blend was, really. And it was getting late, early in the morning, and Chris was like, we need one more cigar. We got to smoke one more little one. Just need like a little snack to end the night good. So we lit those up, and he's like, man, this tastes just like a little cannoli. It's like something perfect to end the night with, like a dessert, where it wasn't like, it's not like sweet like a cannoli or a pastry per se, but it just has this. It just hit him, and he came out with the name. And I was like, that's a great name. Gotta call it the cannoli. That's it. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since we did that, it was just kind of between friends and some social media. They just took that name and ran with it. And
Okay.
once that kind of got established, we just developed a line off of it. So it kind of was an accident, but it was a great idea.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that. It's a great story. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
It
what
just
Miguel
fit.
and I are smoking right now
Mhm.
is the West Side Story, part of the NYC series. What can you tell us about what we're smoking right now?
Yeah, which one? We give you those at the TPE, right?
Correct.
Yeah, we saved on to a couple of them.
Is there a secondary? Does yours have a bats or blades on them?
Miguel's got the blades. I've got the bats.
Yes.
All right, so they're two different blends, which is very unique. We did two blends in the same box. But before that, that project was originally the bats. Um, I think it was last January. Are you guys familiar? You guys familiar with Smoke Inn?
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with the Connoisseur Club there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So last year we got asked to do or be a part of the Connoisseur Club, and basically what that means from the manufacturer side is they want 500 cigars. That's a brand new blend, something we never did before. Maybe new size, completely different tobaccos, everything. A new blend, and we're like, hey, this is cool. Maybe we'll do something new and try it out. This would be a good like testing. And it was kind of I don't say a last minute thing, but production time where we've been working in Nicaragua has been a little bit longer than usual. And we're like, man, we got like 3 months to bang this out. Where are we gonna make it? So we called. I've been good friends with Jesus Martinez, who owns Martinez Cigar Factory in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of helped when I started getting into rolling my own cigars about 10, 11 years ago. He was very monumental in that and helping me get started and give me tools. So we actually decided to make that cigar in the U.S. up in New York City.
Okay.
And yeah, production time would be quicker. They already had the tobacco. We've been talking to them a little bit on and off about doing something. And we're like, fuck it, let's just do it over there. And went up to New York, sat down with the guys, we blended it. And it's a it's a Dominican Nicaraguan filler, has an Indonesian binder, and the bats, the original has the San Andre wrapper. And that was first released in the Connoisseur Club. It got great reviews. Everybody loved it. And we kind of sat on it for a little bit, didn't know what to do. And then we just started talking about putting that into production. And the West Side Story idea came out. The factory is located off the West Side Highway in New York City. We wanted to give homage to our roots and where we're both from. Like, man, let's do a whole NYC series. Martinez can make them in New York. This is going to be the start of something, who knows. And so what you're smoking is the San Andre, the bats, and then the blades. That was also a last minute thing. We obviously put this out at the TPE, and the guys in the factory called me and was like, yo, Jeff, we got this. We made all your San Andres, like the originals, but some of the guys made a bunch with another idea we had, which was to put our Paraca Brazilian wrapper on it. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, did you guys is that a mistake or what? He's like, no, we just started making them and they're really good and we wanted you to try it. I was like, great, man. Last minute, throwing curveballs at me. So he set it down. I smoked it. Chris smoked it. I was like, man, this is so good. I don't know which one to go with. Should we go with the original? And that's why last minute they were on board. Chris came up with the idea first, and I was like, I don't know, man. It's a lot to ask a factory to do two blends, put them in the same box, last minute, running out of time. But
Right.
Dave and Jesus in the factory actually offered to do it. So we're like, hey, let's go. Let's put 2 blends in there. So you guys got one of each, or smoking one of each of the blends.
Well, it's a
So
good
the
thing you
one
had
with the
that extra
blades.
wrapper then.
Yeah, yeah. I always gravitate to the blades. I like both, but the blades just really stuck out to me. That it's all about that wrapper. I really like, the arpillata.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Definitely get that right now. It's smoking deliciously. It's absolutely perfect.
Now we
Yeah,
have
I love that.
question here from Richard.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you meant for the cannoli. That again, that's the one that he was smoking at the event.
Mhm.
I don't know if you meant for the cannoli to be like classified more as a dessert cigar, but that's how he's classifying it right now. And he said, "What made you come up, or decide to come up with the dessert cigar?" And then he says, "Those are life changing." And the fact that he mentions dessert cigar, uh, reminds me that whenever I've smoked a cannoli, it's always been at night, and I've usually had coffee with it.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I think that's how we. Which one is he, Richard? Which one are you smoking? You guys know?
No, I'm not sure.
I
Yeah,
don't
Richard,
remember.
put
He
in the.
smoked a few of yours over at the event, so you'll
I have
have
Wait,
to
to
can you
go.
put it?
clarify
Can
which
you put
one.
his question up again? Because I don't. We also have a cigar called the dessert. What made
Oh,
you
okay. So this
decide
might be
to?
to the other cigar.
Yeah, this might be just a dessert
Yes.
cigar.
Okay.
Okay. There
Okay.
you
Yeah. Yeah. So people do classify the cannoli, the red especially, as a dessert cigar.
Hmm.
Because, like you said, we always end up doing it after dinner or like the last cigar of the night. It's just like our final after whatever. We just automatically go to that for whatever reason. Um, but we also have a cigar called the dessert, and that is a Lonsdale. We don't market it too much. We kind of keep it. It's only available in like select retailers, but it is a Lonsdale. It has a slight sugar tip, and it's aged and infused with hazelnut. It actually tastes like Nutella.
go.
Mm.
Nice.
And I started doing that. I started actually doing that cigar before Amendola was Amendola Family Cigar Company. When I had a factory in Durham and a retail shop, and it was called Bull City Cigar Company. This is back to around 2014, 15. We started making that cigar, and everyone loves it, man. It's like crack. I don't know what. It's not overwhelmingly sweet. It's not like it doesn't taste like artificial or fake. It actually tastes like hazelnut coffee cake.
I like
And you light it up, and it's just very aromatic. It's honestly, it's one of our best selling cigars, and we don't even really market it that much.
it.
It's crazy.
Does all the work for you right there.
Yeah, yeah, really, yeah, yep,
I wish more companies, especially some of the boutique companies, had themselves something like that because it is such a great way to get new cigar smokers into it. And myself and a lot of other guys, I think, I prefer the traditional flavors for the most part. But once in a while, I
yeah,
don't mind something flavored. I'll kick back and enjoy something like that, especially the
yeah.
way you described it. I have not had the dessert myself yet, but
You
now I
gotta
know I
try
got to
that
go
one.
try that.
You gotta try that one, man. I mean, it came. The the idea for that originally was when I had a shop. I only sold cigars that I made, right? So I had to have a cigar for everybody because I didn't want to bring in. I want to keep that old school like neighborhood type of vibe where, we're rolling cigars in the shop. You can come in and get something fresh off the table. Like go to a donut shop or a coffee shop. You get what we're making. But I wanted to make something for everybody where we had our Maduros, we had our Connecticut, our Habano, a couple different sizes. And then we added the dessert cigar for a little bit of flavor for those, whether that's just what you like or you're a new cigar smoker and you want to ease your way in, or you just want to break from what you normally smoke, and that's why I think it became so good for us because especially now in our line, Chris and I were like, look, we have something for everybody. We have our core line, which is a mild, medium full. Our cannoli line is a mild, a medium, a full. Our signature line with the Special and the Padrino. Special is like a medium, Padrino full, and then the dessert is that flavor cigar. we kind of have something for everybody, and that was thought out. That was our intention, to do it that way.
And I think that's a great way to do it because you
Smart,
have
yeah.
some blenders, or some people that own their companies. They say, I make the cigars that I want to smoke,
Yeah,
and
we can't.
and if you can do that, that's great. That's your thing. But there's going to be some people that don't like what you smoke. So the fact that you
Exactly.
can hit everybody on that spectrum is fantastic.
Hmm.
Yeah, nah, you're right, man. Because I hear people say that too, and I'm thinking of this as, yes, this is my passion. I love to do it. I love cigars. I love tobacco. I know what I like, and I like the majority of our product. But we also can't just make cigars that we want to smoke all the time, because we want, of course, as a business too. We want everyone to enjoy our product and continue to buy our product and
Right.
help us stay in business for a really long time. So
Yeah.
you gotta have something that people really enjoy and wanna smoke. You
No,
know,
'Exactly.
100%. And then that'll just lead to more good cigars down the road. If they keep
a
buying
hundred
this,
percent.
you can offer them something else. Maybe that's when it's what who was I listening to today? It was some director or something. You do one movie for the fans, you do one for yourself,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
keep it going.
funny you said that. So the ones we actually did for ourselves, and is the my baby was the special. Like that
Nice.
cigar, it's a box press Havana Oscuro. I love Havana wrapper, and that blend, like that cigar for me was like my baby, and I always gravitate to that. Smoke it any time of day. The Padrino is something that's like Chris's baby.
Nice.
We came up with that blend. He really wanted to use a broadleaf wrapper. We didn't have any of that in our lineup. That's his favorite wrapper leaf, and I'm like, yeah, let's blend the broadleaf, and Bellicoso. So those were kind of for us. Thankfully, other people like them too, and we sell a lot of them, so it worked
Hey,
out.
nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No, it worked. It worked out. Worked out good.
Oh. So when it comes to the decisions on blends, then I'm assuming it's obviously collaborative. But has there ever been a moment where you guys kind of locked heads and like, what, we just can't make a decision on this? Where does it go from there? Like, is there any kind of tie-breaking scenario, or are you just like, trust the gut, we'll go with what you're saying this time, and we'll figure it out as we go?
Yeah, it's definitely collaborative. I'm I might sit. I have a little more time to like mess with tobacco. I might have a concept, but Chris will mess with tobacco as well. We'll try to come up, or we'll go to the factory and sit there um and really dissect it. And usually we kind of just know, and can trust ourselves, and we have the same kind of understanding of what the blend should be going in. So there's not too much. Um, like we can't make a final decision. If that does happen, it happened with the green cannoli. Actually, I was against it. I we used a Sumatra wrapper on that, and I'm not a fan of it. I just felt like, look, this is either going to be my experience with working with Sumatra was either really good or really bad,
Hmm.
and I was like, I don't know if we want to. What if we can't blend it right to make that to fit? Where it was a
Sure.
well
Yeah.
balanced cigar. Um, but Chris kept pushing. He was like, but we don't want to use another Habano. We have like 3 Habanos in there already. You know, um, and I kind of just went with my gut and said, you know what, let's. He was right in the fact that we needed to diversify a little more. Um, and I was like, let's just go with it. I just felt like, look, it doesn't hurt. Worst case, it sucks, and we'll change it or we'll stop production. You know. But we were able to blend it. The blends came out really good, and it worked out. You know. Or the other thing we do is, we don't claim to be like master rollers, master blenders. I mean, yeah, we've been doing this for a little while. Yes, do we know tobacco? Yes, I've been rolling cigars for 11 years. Um, Chris's palate is very, very good. He's been picking up rolling too to really kind of understand that process.
Nice.
Like we're not. So if we come and kind of come to a point where, look, we don't know where to go next. We also rely on the master blenders in the factory, because there's always a guy there that is doing, the final touches, and he has the most experience. Um, 20 years, 25 years, whatever it is. And we like to trust them and kind of let them be an artist. They're going to be overseeing our production. We might come to them with a blend, but we're going to sit together and take their advice on, all right, take this out, add this in, maybe try this wrapper. And if we can't figure it out, we're going to rely on people that have more experience than us,
That
That's the
makes
really
smartest thing to do
that
right
makes
I
there.
mean,
perfect sense.
yeah, because you have to, bro. You have to respect these guys that they've been working with tobacco twice as long, 3 times as long as we have. We got to let the master kind of take over sometimes too, and give his input and opinion. And we have no problem doing that because that's been a lifesaver too at times. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when you have that kind of. It would be crazy not to listen to that kind of knowledge and expertise being next to you, especially if you have that vision to move forward. Sometimes, especially when you're staring at a problem dead on, you have to have that not outside opinion, but just that
Yeah.
secondary opinion that lets you know what's happening.
Yeah. 100%. And you can't be too prideful. Some people get a little caught up in themselves and it's like, oh, I have my own brand, blah blah blah. Look, at the end of the day, man, you got to give credit where credit is due. And if there's somebody out there that is a little more knowledgeable than you need to step back and listen, take some advice, and it's
Oh,
okay.
always got to be learning. There's always something to
So
learn.
always, bro, always. No problem with that.
Oh yeah.
And Richard asked, "Is there a blend that you want to make but just haven't perfected yet? There's anything that you're working on?"
Hmm.
Yeah. Smoking it right now.
Oh, nice. I'm sorry. Yeah, we didn't even ask what you were smoking to start with. I apologize.
I forgive you. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, no, there's a couple things. We have something in the works that we want to release hopefully around the holidays.
Hmm.
Um, but we're not going to get into that. This cigar is something I made a long time ago when I first started. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that gold leaf in there?
Hmm.
Yeah. Huh.
This is North Carolina bright leaf tobacco.
Huh.
That's gold. See it like the swirl?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sticks out like it's just shining through.
Oh yeah, and the aroma. Oh my God, it's like look North Carolina. So if I moved to North Carolina almost, I can't even believe it's been this long, almost 14 years ago, 13. And that's when I started rolling cigars and really getting into or wanting to get into the business. And everyone asked me if I used North Carolina tobacco because North Carolina, Virginia, they're known, for growing bright leaf tobacco. All the cigarette companies were here. Obviously, the tobacco here wasn't harvested or cultivated to be used for premium cigar.
Yeah.
But ironically, one day this guy, I rented out this office underneath the coffee shop, and that's where I would roll cigars. And this guy kept trying to catch up with me because I didn't have set hours. It was just me trying to learn and make cigars and go out to do events. He showed up with a trash bag full of tobacco from his farm.
Huh.
His family, I guess, used to have this huge tobacco farm they sold off a lot of it. The government kind of regulates that here now,
Mm.
but you're allowed to keep a certain amount of acreage for personal use or whatever you want to do. So he dropped off this bag of bright leaf tobacco that smelled awesome, and we smoked it and like by itself, and it was like kind of shitty. It was very harsh, but something in there, I was like, you know what though, if this is blended right, or this could be really interesting because the aroma was so good and there was a sweetness to it. It was just how they cure it. They fry it almost, right? So I asked him, I was like, look, man, like next time you bring me tobacco, can you just put tobacco? Bring me just tobacco that you feel hasn't been fried, that still had a little bit of flexibility to it,
Mhm.
elasticity to it, and that was still bright, like that color bright, you
Very
know?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just started messing with it, and I had another roller that worked with me at the time. Um, he's been doing it 20 years, whatever. So we were messing with it, and we just put a little bit in there, and it, almost like where when you roll a cigar, you always put the ligero kind of in the middle.
Right.
Um, and we put the ligero, and then added a strip and X amount of that bright leaf tobacco. When you rolled it, it created that little golden swirl at the end. And as soon as you light it up, it's very distinct. And we were making them and just selling them locally for like 2 years. Then I lost, I couldn't get any more tobacco. I recently just got some. I rolled this today, these two, because in my mind, I'm like, I really want to perfect this again and come out with it and it's a it's wrapped. It has a Maduro wrapper, some Nicaraguan Dominican binder filler, and the North Carolina bright leaf. Why not? Take a little bit of history,
Oh
and
yeah.
make it into something
Now,
special.
Oh, that'd be
are you
incredible.
able to, or were you able to find out what gives it that distinct coloring? I mean, is it just the soil where it's growing, or is it just an anomaly?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Actually, I never asked that. Other than I don't know, bro. That's a great question. I'm gonna look into that. I want to say, just thinking, just common sense would be the soil. They don't let it like really the seed, like the seed variety, whatever that is. It just turns golden, and that's kind of what that. What's the cigarette brand? Lucky Strike, maybe that was here. Yeah, it's just I don't know.
Hmm.
I think it's a seed variety, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know how it.
Um.
I don't know if that was like uh man produced or that was just how naturally it. I'm assuming it's natural.
hmm
Makes sense. Makes
And then we
sense.
have Peter Janice here. Also, Peter, I need to get a hold of you after the show about your winnings. I got to ship off the other half of it. I just don't know how to do it, so I'll have to get a hold of you after the show. Uh, are you going to roll any other vitolas like a flying pig?
Interesting.
Yeah, we've thought about it. Right now we have the Corona size, we have Toros, make a bellicoso, a box press, Toro. The ones you guys are smoking are torpedoes. Um, what's interesting about how when we come out with a new cigar, it's always one size. So that we have talked about doing like some perfecto. I think the one he's talking about is like a what is that? Like a that's a what's that called? A figurado, maybe? But fat.
I,
What's that?
I know it's like a 4.5 by like
Something
58 or something. It's
tape
just a short,
tapered on
fat
both
stick.
sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a perfecto figurado. Yeah, honestly, I do like that size. I'd probably do it a little bit thinner, just for we're trying to focus more on going less bigger in ring gauges
hmm
and
Yeah.
going a little more traditional and old school. I feel like we get more flavor off the wrapper that way. But yeah, I would love that. That could be something in the future. I would love to do that. Nothing set up or planned right now, but there's ideas around that size, which I like.
So,
I do like that
if
size.
you guys like the smaller ring gauge, you're going to see a Lancero then,
Uh, you
or is
might
that
see
too far in
that.
the other direction?
No, that's you might see that soon. So
Uh,
you might see something where you might soon, within the year, maybe two, of a some already blends that we have, but possibly blended to Lancero size for a sample pack.
Okay.
oh, nice. Very nice.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I think people, they need to hear that again, right there. What you said when you have that smaller ring gauge, you're focusing on that wrapper flavors right there, and
Yeah.
nothing against big ring gauges. I mean, I like a 60 ring gauge once in a while,
Hmm.
but for the most part, yeah, I think those smaller ring gauges, that more classic sizes, you're right. It gives you those flavors that it's hard to compete with when you get too big of a ring gauge all of a sudden. All of a sudden, the cigar becomes sure you're gonna get 2.5 hours out of it. That's awesome. That's
Sure.
cool.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I kind of rather the experience versus the timeline. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like you said, I'll smoke one every now and then just to try something different, or that I'm
Right.
not typically used to. But like this is a 40. When I go back to this, I'm like, my palate is just, I'm like, this is why I keep going back to this size, because all the flavor that I get off it that I probably wouldn't get off a bigger ring cigar,
Mhm.
it's night and day, and I keep gravitating back to this. I think the biggest ring gauge that I go to is like a 52 or 54. That's kind of like, I enjoy them, love it. That's kind of like my cutoff as far as like how
Sure.
big
Yeah.
I want to go,
Yeah,
But
54 is still a
lately,
great size. Yeah.
And
yeah,
for you
54 is
guys,
good.
when you're tasting new blends, uh, do you blend it to the size that you're gonna do it at retail, or do you blend it to a size like a Corona specifically, and that's where you taste it from?
Yeah, we'll blend it to like a Corona or maybe a Robusto
Hmm.
at first, um, as far as the blending goes. And if we like that blend where it's at there between the 42, 48 ish,
Hmm.
then we'll reblend it to the size we want.
And how does that process go as far as figuring out what size this cigar is going to be as opposed to another size? I mean, you do a couple different sizes and kind of see which one smokes best, or you already have it in your head when you're coming with the blend. Like, this is going to be really good in a Churchill. That's what we're going to blend it in.
So far, it's usually we already have it in our mind what size we want.
Hmm.
So we're not gonna like dance around it too much. We're gonna come up with a blend in one or two sizes that just where we could really get the full flavor notes.
Hmm.
But we're at the end of the day, we're gonna put it to the size we want that our concept was already at. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. That way we're not. Otherwise, there's too many options. You could go nuts with it. Um, but like when we did the cannoli, we knew it was gonna be a Corona. We weren't gonna change that. That's what it was. And so we went and added the other two lines. We already knew this isn't going to be a Robusto. It's not going to be a Toro. There's going to be a 40, 42 ring. That's what it's going to be, you know? So we messed around with blends, but at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah, and I
Um,
honestly I couldn't see that cigar in another size.
Yeah. No, it's
I mean
perfect.
yeah,
that's the perfect size.
yeah, I agree. It's significant.
Now,
So, oh, sorry, go
oh, so
ahead.
yeah, I have one for you though, because we talked about it was real quick at the beginning of the conversation, but we talked bourbon for a split second, but we
Mm.
passed over a little too quickly for my taste. What are some of the bourbons that you like to enjoy out there, or if there's other spirits too?
Yeah, yeah. Bourbon's been my go-to lately, but um, I've been really gravitating to wild turkey products. Like this one, the Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit. You had that?
Not
No,
yet.
I'm gonna have to try that
Oh
out.
my god! Like it's a single barrel. Oh man, a lot of people have I think a misconception of Wild Turkey. They think cheaper bottle like the original one. Not, I don't really go to that. The 101, okay for the price, but when you start exploring that distillery, they have the other ones I love. And I always have it here. I have to have it around because I love them so much, especially with the cigar pairing. I feel like they just has this depth, caramel, that vanilla. The one I just showed you, the rare breed, Wild Turkey rare breed, um, and the Russell's single barrel. That's also a Wild Turkey product. That's always in my lineup. Those three. Kentucky Spirit, Rare Breed, Russell Single Barrel. But I love Elijah Craig, all of them. Um, I love getting like the toasted barrels or like the single barrel picks and things like that. Also, like I love. It's hard for me not to like a bourbon, but the ones I don't like are anything that I don't like that cherry flavor. If there's anything like has a little bit of that cherry,
Sure. Yeah.
or I don't know what that. Maybe it's not cherry, but that's what it reminds me of. I don't like that. And I gravitate to a lot of single barrel, or private select type stuff. I like it a little more heavy, and I feel like that goes better with a cigar, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, yeah. I know a lot of guys like it's rum that gets thrown out there a lot.
All right.
Rum is
I
fine.
love
It's just a little sweet for me, so I tend to go more whiskey, or I like tequila a lot, so I'll go that route.
Oh yeah, Chris is doing tequila. I can't do tequila. I smell it, and my pores open up, and I start sweating.
Oh no.
It's weird. I don't know. Maybe it's the agave. Maybe I'm allergic to it. I don't know. I wish I liked it though. Funny though about the rum. I just got I do like rum. I know what you're saying about the sweet thing. I don't like rum that's too sweet. But we just got back from the Dominican Republic, and I brought back a Brugal Leyenda, 5th year anniversary of this. It's a premium bottle of rum. It's awesome. If you get your hands on the Leyenda, I've never seen it in the States. We had to get it in the DR. And then, are you guys familiar with Hochi Blanco?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just came out with a rum.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
You know that?
I did not.
No.
Yeah, it's called. Let me grab the bottle. I'll show you.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
One sec.
I did not hear about that.
No. If you guys do me a favor and tag a buddy who needs to try Amendola cigars, tag them in there right now, so they can hear some more of these interesting facts because they're gonna want to hear this, and obviously they're gonna want to see the rum too.
Yeah.
But yeah, tag them real quick for me.
Yeah, this is. I had to get. We were in working on some stuff, and I was like, "Yo, can you guys call Hochi and see if he has any bottles of rum lying around? Because I can't leave without it." And it's called Unique.
Okay.
La Galera. Let me tell you, this is a problem. It's a unique. It's called Unique XO, Unique Malt Rum, special edition for La Galera cigars, and it's Solera style. Yep. Only 1,000 bottles made.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So keeping the what's the word I'm looking for? Limited edition kind of situation going on. I like that.
Exactly. This is bottle 197 from 1,000, produced in 2021 or bottled in 2021. Yeah, man, this is special. This is really good. It's not. It's a little sweet, but I saw that barrel finish, and I sipped on it last night with a Padrino, with Amendola Padrino. Man, that the combo of like a full body cigar and that, it was good.
No, can't compete. Yeah.
What about you guys like scotches?
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I've been getting into that a lot more too.
I will caveat though, I like Scotch, but I'm not the type of like refined Scotch drinker who has to be a single malt. One of my favorites is actually Johnny Walker Black. Is one of the first ones that I tried with the cigar when we first started smoking cigars. And to this day, if I'm gonna try a new cigar and I want to try it with a Scotch, I'll go to the Johnny Walker Black because it was one of the first ones where I was able to taste the flavors of the cigar, the flavors of Scotch, and how they went together.
You know what my favorite Johnny Walker is? The green. You ever had the green?
Fantastic.
The
I
green
love
is
that one.
phenomenal. Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great. Lately I've been getting into the a lot of the peaty scotches. I was never a fan of that. I was like turned away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But I started doing a lot of events. Like people will contract me out to roll cigars for Scotch tastings. And so I was like, you know what? I gotta start trying this stuff a little more. And I did a tasting with I think it was Lagavulin.
Oh, good stuff.
Man, that just opened up my palate, and I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed it. So then I started diving in, to other single malts, Islay style scotches, and those have been my go-to lately.
Hmm.
But I love Glenmorangie and the Johnny Walker Green. To me, those are great scotches.
Some staples right there. Yeah, especially the green. I
Mhm.
think you can find that pretty much readily available wherever you're going.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
it's nice to have those because there's plenty of really like rare bottles that are incredible, but I'm also the kind of guy who likes to be able to find it, where I'm going and
Me
not
too.
worry about like, man, my favorite's not here. What's going on?
I agree. I agree. Now, when I do travel, I do look for something, maybe that I can't get. Like I do love Lagavulin, and I did find a distiller. I forget, it wasn't a regular distiller's edition, but it was something I've never seen before, and I can't get it where I live here. So I got that bottle, and that's an awesome. It's just nice to have that, to have
Right.
that experience, And every now and then, maybe once a month, I'll just take a little sip of it just to get
Remind
that
you.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like
I
that.
feel that. Heck
So
yeah.
That's a good point too, because there's so many distilleries coming up that are doing such great
yeah,
work. It's hard to not want to try everybody. It's a little something here, a little something there, because you're gonna
I
find some
agree.
treasures out there.
Yep. But I do love bourbon. I would love to actually. I do have this thing in the works where I might have an opportunity to potentially come out with my own whiskey here pretty soon,
Oh wow.
Nice.
and that will be awesome. Trying to
Yeah,
make that happen.
yeah. I'm gonna need a bottle of that, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta let me know. Oh,
we're working on that soon, actually.
all right. Left field question here for you.
Yeah.
As we know, most places are smoke free. Wherever you go, there's just certain rules. If there was an establishment that would be somewhere you'd want to go to have a cigar that just doesn't happen anymore, say a ball game, the movie theater, shoot, Disneyland, somewhere that you think, man, I wish I could have a cigar here, and just not that it would affect anybody else, just the fact that it'd be nice to have the option. Where it'd be somewhere that you wouldn't think of for everybody else, but that would be good for you, that you'd want to have a cigar
You just named them all for me.
at.
No, I think my top two would be, which I always talk about this, baseball games.
Yep.
I would love to sit at a baseball game and smoke a cigar and relax and enjoy the game. I feel like they used to do that back in the day, and it was awesome. And I feel like I get robbed of that experience because you can't do it. Um, Steakhouse.
Yes. Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Now, having said that, we do have one here in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's called the Angus Barn, and if you guys ever get out this way, we'll go. There's, it's so cool. They they used to be able to smoke. They have this place is historical. It's very it's awesome. Like you walk in, it's an old barn, but it's massive, and they have a humidor in there actually.
Oh wow.
They collect old guns from like back, probably date back to 1600s, 1700s, maybe even a little before that, like the black powder muskets and things. All that's on display, so you kind of like walk in and take a step back in time. They also have really good steak. They had a wild turkey lounge upstairs. That was when you were able to smoke inside. That was they allowed cigar smoking up there. When I moved here, that ended. But what they did was they turned they have a meat locker on the back side of the restaurant, obviously where they store their meat, and they converted that into a cigar lounge dining room.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
So when you go there, you go to the front desk, say, "Yeah, I'd like to be seated in the meat locker," and they will walk you through the whole kitchen, the whole production, uh, steaks everywhere. There's like 20 cooks in the kitchen. They walk you. It's like Goodfellas, like old school. You walk all the way back. There's a wine cellar you pass that's down the stairs, and then they take you out to this meat lot. Literally, it's a freezer that has been converted, and there's about I don't know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 to 10 tables. Two tops, a few four tops. You could smoke cigar, you could drink whiskey, wine, whatever you want, and order steak and eat and have a full on meal. And they even they expanded out the back too. To now there's you have the meat locker, but you could also walk right outside to a beautiful patio covered fire pit and sit out there and eat too and smoke.
Oh, beautiful. Oh,
That's always been like there's so many like steakhouses I've gone to. Be like, man, I would love to light up a cigar right now, you know. And I think a movie theater would be great because when I'm home, if I want to sit down and watch a movie or a show, I'm always lighting up a cigar. Like, it's just why not?
100%.
Imagine if you could go to a theater with like the seats that recline and they're bringing you drinks and food and you're smoking. It'd be great.
That's beautiful. I think the world needs more of that steak lounge too. I think the closest place that
That's
we
right.
can buy food and smoke at the same time is like what, San Diego?
San Diego.
Yeah, over in 3-in-1, and that for
Really?
us is 4.5, almost 5 hours away. So
Worth it.
I think people need to start marrying that idea again. Like, you know what? If it's an adult location with adults making decisions, we should be allowed to have a cigar once in a while. You know, I'm just
I agree.
so
Because
that
if you do that, it becomes a destination spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because people that like that, they'll come. They'll find it. You know, they'll seek that out and go. I think.
100% agree with that. Definitely, I mean, that's what we do. We go look for them.
I do too. It's great.
So back to when you were getting started. You said you've been rolling now your own cigars for about 10 years.
Actually, a little bit longer now. Yeah. This is the 11th year.
Nice.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
When you first got started into smoking and then into rolling your own cigars, were there any cigars that were kind of an inspiration to you, or was it more of, you know what, I'm going to take this tobacco and that tobacco, see how it tastes? No, that doesn't work. Let me do this and that, and trial and error.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't specific cigars. You know, my inspiration came from I got on this kick one day of watching or really learning about old family brands like Fuente, Padron, the La Aurora factory. And I really started watching these things and like their stories. And I'm like, this is very inspirational. Like these people came to this, or some, like, for instance, the Fuente family, fled Cuba, came to this country with nothing really, and built this empire of cigars and tobacco. And I was going really deep into like their story and how, and that's what inspired me more to like sit down with tobacco versus like a cigar. Because I was like, this is awesome. Like, I love that. I love the history. I love like the underdog story, and that was the inspiration. I really wasn't. I was smoking cigars at the time, but I didn't. I don't even. I was smoking cigars like where I'm from in New York, and even I lived in Boston for a while or surrounding. I was getting cigars from local rollers. Like they're still kind of prevalent there.
Mm-hmm.
If you know where to go. I didn't know about brands. I wasn't really. I, I didn't know. All I knew were like the Fuente La Padron. I saw Romeo and Juliet's, in every shop I went to and things like that. But I didn't have a brand. Like I didn't know there were so many. Or a lot of consumers were brand loyal or always talking about. I didn't know. I didn't have that. All I had was I liked going to get a cigar from the factory in the Bronx I used to hang out at. The guys at Martinez I would go to in Manhattan. Then when I was in Massachusetts, I found a cigar roller. My brother-in-law brought me to this place, and there was a cigar roller in a shop, and that was my thing. I'm like, wow, I want to get what they're doing, because I was really trying to understand the craft and that aspect of the business. So when
Sure.
I started doing it, it was really, this is what I have access to, tobacco-wise, let me see what I can do. And
Yeah,
I give them out and let people smoke them.
I totally get that because we went to Cigar Heritage Festival last year.
Mm.
We did a podcast for them there while we were there, and we stayed in Ybor. And the street that we stayed on, our hotel was at the end of the block, We had about half a mile to walk to get to Cigar Heritage, where they're having it at the park, and every other little shop on this street was an independent roller. You know, I mean, yeah, they had a few Fuentes, had a few Olivas,
Sure.
stuff like that, but most of their, like 90% of their inventory was their own blends, and it was fantastic. You know, we got to go into half a dozen or a dozen different little shops out there, and everyone had their own take on it. And it was beautiful. I mean, it
So
got to the point where we had to get little post-its like, okay, this is from this shop, put it in the bag,
yeah, yeah. 'Cause
get
a
in the
lot of them are unbanded. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's no branding per se.
Exactly.
But that's where I learned how to roll cigars. Ebor with at La Farona.
Mm.
Very
I don't know if you
nice.
guys went in there. Odelma, her name is Odelma
Yeah,
Matos.
we had her on the show.
Yeah, that was a while back, but yeah, we had her on.
Yeah, so I was actually I was a police officer at the time, and when I was in the police academy actually when I was trying to do all this stuff, and somebody told me about Ebor. I never knew about it. Never knew. Never in my. I knew Miami and New York. That's where.
Mhm.
And then I started digging into Ebor, the history and all that. And then the Fuente thing, I'm like, oh yeah, Fuente, Ebor, Tampa, got it. Made that connect. And I went down there on a whim, just a couple days, and yeah, I met Odelma, and I asked her if she would teach me how to roll. And she's like, yeah, I was her first student ever. Now she does it a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, she told me to pick a couple weeks to come back, and man, awesome experience. That was monumental, and I have to keep telling her that because really, what she did for me, I don't say it changed my life, but it totally changed my career path, which I didn't like, and it made me really find what I love to do, and now we're doing it. So awesome,
That's amazing.
awesome place.
That's
Yeah,
impressive. And you got to give some credit to yourself too, because not everyone's willing to do that. You know, like a lot of people will get stuck in that job that they just kind of tolerate. They don't go after their passion or
I
something new or
know.
just
Play it
try to
safe.
learn. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
that's an
think,
impressive feat right there.
yeah, I kind of came to a point where I was very unhappy, very depressed, going through a divorce, had a new young son. I felt like my everything around me was crumbling, and I'd go to work and just stare at I was a detective at the time. I would just stare at my laptop, trying to do work or go out on the street and handle. I'm like, what am I doing in my life? You know, I'm like, either I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting their time because I'm not capable mentally of doing this anymore. Like I checked out, and yeah, I last minute decision, light bulb went off in my head, and was like, you don't have to do this. This isn't like you are capable of doing more if you want to, you know. And it was scary. I was scared as hell, but I put in my notice. I turned in all my gear. I said I'm done. I cashed out my pension and invested it into my business at the time, which was rolling cigars, doing events, and I had a little retail shop.
Mhm.
That eventually turned into a brand, turned into Chris and I joining, rebranding, and taking this business to the next level. You know, and I'm like, man, I'm so thankful, or whatever was going on at the time. As much as it sucked, it was the right. It had to happen. And sometimes you got to hit rock bottom, to make a change. Unfortunately, but that's a lot. A lot of times that's how it happens. Or you get so comfortable. And I always encourage people though. 'Cause a lot of people always ask like about getting into business. I'm like, look, I didn't go to college. I have no business degree. This is all trial and error. You know, this is a passion, a dream, and the guts and the balls to just do something. But my advice always is, if you really have a passion, you just have to do it. Just do it. Start it. Whether it's 2 hours a week, a weekend, uh, whatever. Your nights, do it. And if you can figure it out, if you work hard enough, you can figure it out.
100%,
Absolutely.
100%.
So you said you
Yeah.
lived in the outskirts of Boston and in New York.
Yeah, I grew up in New York, Westchester County, right up 95, right outside the Bronx. And then I lived in Massachusetts. I say Boston. So many little towns. Boston's kind of
Mhm.
like the main city, obviously, and then there's like the sections around it and stuff like that. But yeah, spent a lot of time there too.
So when it comes to sports teams, are you torn or do you have one you favor over the others?
Oh,
Never torn, my friend. Once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker.
there you
I'm
go.
I'm all New York, bro. I'm all even. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know. There's something about New York for me, anyway. If you're born there or have your beginning life there, it's hard to change.
Sure.
It's hard to get that out of you. So I've always been a Yankees. I'm a Yankees, Giants, basketball. I mean, baseball, football mainly. Um, yeah, but when I lived in Boston, they hated me, man. It was so funny. Because that rivalry is strong.
Oh yeah.
I mean, me and my dad would go to Fenway when the Yankees were in town just to see a good ball game, And Fenway, I mean, I respect the Red Sox, of course. Yeah. I love I love Wrigley Field, not Wrigley, Fenway. Um, it's old, it's nostalgic, it's a great ballpark to see a game. So we would go just for that experience. But yeah, we'd always wear Yankee stuff.
Heck yeah.
We get to some fights here and there, some verbal altercations. It was fun. I just could never switch over.
No, I don't
The only
blame you.
time, the
Yeah.
only time I would root for the Patriots though is when Amendola was playing for them.
Okay.
If it
Makes
didn't
sense.
conflict with the Giants, I would root for them.
Then you can. Then it's okay. But if the
Yeah,
confliction, nah,
can't take it out.
I know that feeling. Yeah, more Dodgers here, just because I think any other team that I like, they're always out of California, but the Dodgers will always be my team for baseball. And the
Yep.
only reason I ever go to any of the other stadiums was when the World Classic was here in California. So I was going over to Angel Stadium, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a chip on the shoulder for like this stadium's whatever. I guess it's kind of a giant red hat in the front. Okay, I get it, whatever. But yeah, if I
Yeah,
was being honest, it was nice.
yeah. But there's something about just if you like the sport, there's some you can always appreciate going to a good ball game. You know what I mean? Good
Absolutely.
state. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. It sucks here in North Carolina because they don't have anybody. We have AAA though, Durham Bulls Stadium right down the street. It's kind of nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see some players that are we're in the major leagues, come back to the farm team. That's kind of cool, but it's not the same.
Right.
True.
Now, were you able to get a piece of the old stadium before they tore it down?
Nah, I wish I did. I haven't even been to the new one.
Oh wow. Okay.
Kind of torn. The old one was so awesome. That's what
Now,
I
I
remember.
will, I will. I will tell you, we've been to New York once. This was way back when. I mean, Miguel was like, you weren't even 18 yet.
No, 17. Yeah,
Yeah.
17. Yeah.
And I mean, we got lost half a dozen times out there. I remember one time, I guess the Rangers were playing, and we wanted to go check it out at Madison Square Garden. And
Yep.
I'm looking at the directions. I'm like, it's got to be here somewhere. And we asked, excuse me, you know where Madison Square Garden is? And they're like, right there. I'm like,
Right in
oh,
front of you.
yeah. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's easy to get lost.
Very, very.
I still
easy.
get lost. I mean, the city is crazy. I know my way around the Bronx a little bit, some of Manhattan, but if you're not there day in day out, I mean, it could be a mess.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we are at the top of our hour, guys. So want to say thank you for joining us today. Is there anything before we let you go that you want to tell anybody?
Yeah. No, first thank you guys for having me on the show. I wish Chris could have made it. He probably got tied up with some stuff, but that's we'll do it again, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you guys for your platform and allowing me to talk about our brand and a little bit of my backstory. And anyone who's listening, if you haven't tried Amendola Family Cigars, please, I'd be honored if you sought them out. You can follow us on Instagram at Amendola Family Cigars. There's actually a link in our bio. If you don't see our cigars in your local shop, there's a link in our bio that has, I believe there's 4 or 5 nationwide online retailers that sell our product. You could go there, definitely check that out. Facebook, Amendola Family Cigar Company, and our website is amendolafamilycigars.com. we're very accessible. We love hearing from you, obviously, and we just hope you give us a shot. You know, we want to be here for a long time. Our vision is to be a legacy brand. You know, it doesn't go out of style, and we want, well, we need people like you, people from your audience, to just to continue to support that, and we're very thankful for those that do. So, yes,
I know they
thank you
will.
guys for listening.
Absolutely. And glad to have you on, brother. Again, that was AmendolaFamilyCigars.com. Go check it out, everybody. If it's not in your area, get it in your area. You know, ask your
Right.
local retailer too to bring it in.
Yep, please.
All right, people. You all have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back Friday again. So just a couple days, and we'll talk to you again soon, guys. All right, Jeff. Thank you again for being
Thanks,
on with
guys.
us. Y'all have a great day and take care.
See you guys.
Salud.